Hello, everybody. This is Jevon Thomas with Crystal. Oh, goodness, Crystal Mitchell. I'm still used to just calling you Crystal. So, our topic today is going to be around the traditional 401k versus the Roth IRA. So, we're going to get started with that. But first, I'm going to read Crystal's bio. So, here we go. Oh, of course, everybody knows me. I'm Jevon Thomas, retirement plan advisor. I sell retirement plans. Here we go. My friend and colleague Crystal is a business coach consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, a co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of The Business Zone, another online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College. She's also a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, welcome aboard.
Hello, how are you today?
Great, good to see you. I have sort of a strange thing going on here. If you hadn't
What's
noticed,
that?
I've got the camera over here and this thing over here, and so I'm hoping it comes out well.
And
Okay.
what's that thing over there?
What's
A
what thing?
tree? You got a tree? It looks like a tree.
Yes, it's on the patio. There's a tree on the patio. Be
Okay,
nice.
then we're good.
Be nice. All righty, so here we go. So our topic today is the Roth versus the traditional 401k. And the Roth IRA, let's say that, against the traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I picked this topic because so often people decide they need to do one or the other. Am I going to put my money here? Am I going to put my money there? What's best for me? And in actuality, if you talk to, I don't know, 5 different advisors, you'll probably get 5 different ideas. And they're probably all right. And it really has to do with your particular need. So I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. Okay. There are 3 things that this article brought out that I saw. And one was that taxes are going to go up. So that's a reason to invest in a Roth IRA, because taxes are going to go up. So we know in the traditional IRA, you put the money in, and then there's you again.
All right, I'm going to take me out of this one. Bring me in on another one.
Okay.
There we go.
There you are. Okay, so
Sorry.
no worries. As you know, with the traditional IRA, you defer the taxes until you have to retire. So the one key point there is that taxes are only going to go up, and indeed, our second point is that taxes are scheduled to go up in 2026 at the latest, so probably even next year. So we know taxes are going to go up. And then the other point that this article made was that if you know that you're not going to pay taxes on that Roth IRA, then that frees you. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room in the way that you think with regard to investing. So it sort of calms your mind. And I think those are great points, except I think you can do them both. I think one of the points that they don't make is that, and I have to get point number 4. Point number 4 is that often in a traditional 401k, there are what we call hidden fees. Yeah. And I want you to be careful with that, because often financial advisors will try to sell you in that this big mega block called the quote unquote industry has these mega fees that they're going to charge you. And so therefore you have to be careful and hire their services to make sure that, you don't fall prey to those. So that being said, I think most people would benefit from contributing to both of these items. Number one, your traditional 401k. Often there's a match, and you can't beat that with regard to return. There's a match, right? If there is, get the match. If you have a safe harbor match, often, not always, but often that's the employee puts in 5%, the employer puts in 4%. That's a pretty good return on your money. Right? Most Americans need to save between 10 and 15%. And if you put in 5, your employer puts in 4, you're already at 9. You don't have that much to go before you can hit at least the savings goal that most of us would like you to have. So that's one. Number two, taxes are going to go up. That is the deal. So depending on what your tax bracket / liability is going to be when you retire, the traditional 401k may be a better option for you. So for example, let's say you know that your tax bracket is going to be significantly lower now than it is, it's going to be significantly lower when you retire than it is now. Well, it might do you good in the long run to put more away possible now. And most folks are aware that I think I would rather people had enough money to retire upon and pay the taxes rather than not. That's my standard thing for folks. So that's one. Number one, taxes are going up. So kind of take a look at your tax liability. Number two, in the 401k plan, if you're under the age of 50, you can put $22,000 in that bad boy. In the Roth IRA, let's call it 6, right? So $6,000 versus 20 some odd grand. That's a big difference right there.
Yeah.
So I think, it's not, and that right there is why I think this isn't an either or situation, and why I think you have to be careful when you listen to folks like me tell you that you need to have this product versus that product. So what is an interesting scenario? Number one, get the match, right? Do that. Number two, most employers are going to match you in pre-tax dollars. Now, there is some legislation out there that suggests that the employee will be able to choose whether they have to be matched in pre-tax or post-tax dollars. That was supposed to come online here in 2023. No one at Congress or in the accounting world is figured out how to make that work. So as the situation still stands now, if you get the match, and I think you should, that's going to be paid to you in pre-tax dollars. Okay, even if you contribute in after-tax dollars, right? So it may behoove you, maybe, to set up your traditional 401k, put the money in pre-tax, and then if you have some money left over, get yourself a Roth IRA. I'm a little bit old school. Most of the advisors that I talk with suggest both are a good idea. You can use that Roth IRA to, for lack of a better word, mediate or determine what your tax liability is once you retire, right? So the other option is most companies that I work with have the Roth section of their 401k open to participants, right? So if you can afford to, I don't see why you need to go to a Roth IRA and avoid your 401k plan, right? It's a benefit, get what's coming to you. Now, if you talk with a CFP or another financial advisor, they will tell you, well, you've got more freedom in your IRA with regard to the investments you choose. I can't say anything against that. That makes sense. That's true. I don't know if you need that freedom, but you have it. And then they may say, well, what about those hidden fees? The hidden fees, to be honest with you, I don't think it's that big a deal. I think what's most important is the amount of money that you can put away, right? Now, let's talk about the other side of the scale. And that would be, I've only got $6,000, right? That's it. Either I put it away in the company in a pre-tax situation, or I put it away after, because that's all I got. Okay, which one's going to be better for you? To be honest with you, if you've only got $6,000, I think you need that tax break now. You may not make it to your Roth IRA to claim the Roth IRA benefit. However, I am a big believer in delayed gratification. So it seems like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Indeed, I am. But I think that just goes to show you there isn't really one good answer for everyone. It really does depend on what your particular needs are and how you feel. Certainly, if most of your parents live a long life to the age of 50 and you're in your 40s and you're thinking it's just not going to happen, I don't see any reason to put the money inside the Roth IRA, to be honest with you. Save the money on your taxes. if you happen to be one of those long living folks, and you know that it's very possible that the way taxes are going up and the way you've been saving, that it's very possible that once you get to retirement with all of the investments that you have. So for example, I met a gentleman last night who's got tons of stock investments. He's paying capital gains tax, huge amounts of capital gains tax. He needs a deduction. He needs to reduce his tax liability. Don't tell him to talk to my father, who's a veteran, but he needs his reduction in tax liability. So for him, the traditional 401k works out very well. So it really, really depends on your specific situation. I would definitely talk with a financial advisor before you make a decision. But on the other hand, and I got to say this before we end this thing, even though we've been talking for a little while, and I'll let Crystal talk, get the match, right? It's not free money. It's money your employer has put away for you because you work there. Get that. Don't leave that on the table. Okay. Crystal?
Yes. So let me ask this question. We appear to be in a I don't know, when I was working in corporate America, it was all pro employee, and really wanting to provide incentives to have employees commit to long-term employment with your company. But
Yep.
that doesn't seem to be the trend today. And so how are companies, are there still companies using 401ks and pension plans and matching plans as incentives for employees, or have they veered away from that?
It is a mixed bag out there, and I'm so glad you asked the question. I think for young people, it's a very big question, right? How long am I going to stay with this company? Therefore, should I invest in their retirement plan?
Mm-hmm.
The reality of the situation is that it's not necessarily their retirement. It is their retirement plan, but it's your retirement, right? It's your
Mm-hmm.
responsibility to save for your retirement. And if your company is going to help you out, take it and run. Take it like you stole it, because
Mm-hmm.
things are becoming more expensive and companies are trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to keep the best employees for the least amount of money? So in that sense, yes, companies, in my opinion, from what I've seen, are trying to hire the right employees. And they are going through efforts to make sure that happens. And that's why we see so many companies doing things that are a little bit more not proprietary, but patriarchal. That is, they want
Okay.
to keep you in the 401k plan. They want to make sure that they have a wellness kind of program. They want to make sure that they keep the employees that they want to keep. And so inside your 401k plan, maybe they put a vesting schedule on that profit sharing. So they make sure that they keep those long-term employees. So hopefully, without rambling, it's not like employers don't know the score, right? I mean, they know what's up. When you talk to an employer that says, I can't hire an employee, the response really is, oh, you can't hire an employee at the money you're choosing, right? So they know what's up. Right? So,
Okay. Yeah, because it doesn't, you read the news and you hear, I mean, all the companies that are employees that are protesting now is because they seem to be getting the short end of the stick, especially since cost of living is so high. In the state of California, the hourly wage has gone up, which of course means that there's more cost on the employer, but they're protesting for a reason, right? They're not feeling like they're being they're valuable to the company.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think employees are doing absolutely the right thing in protesting. But I would also say that every business owner that I know that suggests that they are a capitalist suggests that, you know, they get the best deal they can. And I think employees need to take that to heart. Your
Mm,
time is labor. You have agency. You need to get the best deal that you can. And if it means working at another company because this one is not making the grade, do that, right? Do that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying to your employer, you're not paying me enough, I got to go and get another job. And when they raise their wages, go back to them. Right? I mean, you have agency. This idea that you were born in one place, and of course, you know, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a military brat and we've moved around quite a bit. I still pay my taxes and form relationships with people, although my dating life is a bit weak now, but I'm still a relatively normal human being. So
I like that interjection. Not everything is all rosy, man.
So, you know, you are not stuck someplace for the most part. Most of us are not stuck. There may be some things that you have to deal with, but military families move. They pick up and they got to go. And so if they can do it, I would believe you can do it as well. So this idea that you have to stick with an employer and they're not putting up the goods, no, that's not true. Stop thinking that, and go where you can make the money that you need to go and get. You know.
So what you're basically saying that as a young person, frequently changing your job at a young age won't really create, I mean, major havoc in your preparing for the future of your retirement. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't think I could have said it better. I would just add to that your 401k is designed to be portable, right? The article, and so it goes with you, and it is for retirement. It's not for something that happens like a car or a house and retirement. It's for retirement, and we need to look at it that way. And if we did, we'd be much happier in retirement. This isn't to say this stuff doesn't happen, you know. And for that, I would say a Roth IRA, when it comes to you being over the age of 50, and as long as you've had it for 5 years, you know, a Roth IRA is a lovely vehicle because you can get money out of it dramatically easier than you can with your 401k plan.
Mm.
But
You
let's
just
not
have
get
to.
things, yeah, you know, you just have to set it up the right way. But let's not get things twisted. Your 401k plan is a retirement vehicle. It's not a retirement vehicle. Oh, and if I have to, I can get it to buy a house, right? You know, we
Okay.
do a lot of things here in this country extremely well. One of them is not saving. So let's let's take a look at at the situation the right way.
Mm.
We need to get a different definition for balance. Easy to say when I'm sitting here as a financial advisor giving advice. Tough to do in real life. I get it. Um, I don't want to sound pompous at all. It's tough out there. You've only got so many dollars to go so many places. But I think if we change our mindset to, okay, maybe I can't max out my 401k, maybe I can't max out my IRA and get all my obligations taken care of. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's fine. You know, we do
Mm.
what we can do, right?
Okay. Yeah. Because young people don't, unlike when we were working, we put in our five. I know when I started working, which seems like hundreds of years ago. Uh,
Maybe only 100, not
well,
100.
yeah, 100, yeah. Um, you would go, okay, I'm gonna put my 5 years in or my 10 years in, right, to a company dedicated, because you're depending on your career or the industry you're in. Sometimes it takes that long to really move up the ladder, right? But in the tech world, year and a half, 2 years max, in order for them to make more money, they literally have to leave and go somewhere else to really boost their income to significantly. The 3% ain't gonna do it.
Right? There you go.
Right.
Right.
And when I don't know about you, but when I worked for corporate America, there were bonuses, incentives, all kinds of lovely things to help increase. You may not have been coming in with that raise, but you had opportunities to make bonus. But only certain industries really encourage that these days. And that's a good word, encourage.
Yeah, Crystal, I think we only have a few minutes left in our show, and perhaps we should talk about this at a different time. But I think it's incumbent amongst parents, and I can say this, I believe, because I've known lots of young people, but it's incumbent upon parents to educate their children as to what the relationship is now with regard to their employer and their livelihood. Things have changed. There was a time when you could work for a company for 30 years, and I'm not saying that the money was all that good, but you had this relationship with your employer, and there was the expectation of some kind of a pension at the end. Well, our government almost shut down. I mean, that happened easy. And I'll just say it right here and now. While the people in Congress could not uh, cut their pay, they didn't have a problem cutting the pay of government employees in order to cut down on the nation's debt. I mean, when you really get down to it, these folks were saying to the American government worker, hey, the government's spending way too much money. We're going to stop it from doing that. Oh, and I'm sorry, but yeah, that means that you don't get paid. So there is a difference in that relationship between employer and employee. And while I think that the employee gives up quite a bit instead of starting their own firm to work for someone, and they need to be compensated for that, that's not the way that it is, right? So as an employee, you have agency, and you have to see it that way. And the expectation that that company is going to take care of you, I think it's a false one. Right? Now that we have shareholder equity, now don't get me wrong, there are some companies, because as I'm not that much older than you, but I do remember, the company's going to pay for your MBA. They're going to give you some incentives, all this kind of stuff, right? Companies don't do that because they like you. That's just it, right? Companies do that because they feel they need to keep you. Right? So you have to look out for yourself. That's just the way it is with regard to becoming an adult. There no longer do we have that safety. I don't know if we ever did, where things are going to get done for you just because you happen to be an employee or American citizen or what have you. You have to look out for yourself. You have to look out for yourself at your healthcare plan. You got to look out for yourself with regard to retirement. You got to look out for yourself with regard to where you work and how you get to work and what your family is going to look at. You have to take the bull by the horns. It is on you. And we do a disservice to our young folks by suggesting that someone is going to take care of them. It's just not the way that it works. Especially now that you and I have gotten a little bit older, we have this thing out there, this little bugaboo called shareholder equity. I know employers now. I'm a small business person. You're a small business person. We work with them all the time. They will get rid of that employee in a heartbeat when he stops or she stops being useful.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a family, but I got to eat, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, not to hog. I know you've got a great opinion on this, but I would say you have to exercise your agency as an employee.
Right.
That is capitalism.
Yeah, I agree. You have to look out for yourself. It's not the same employee world that it used to be, because we are in a very capitalistic society. And when you look at the disparity between the CEOs and their employees' salary, it's and right, exactly, and it even goes to the government. I mean, when as you were saying, talking about uh, not being able to meet the budget and closing down the government and closing down those like those military and governmental employees. You in here, I think I heard maybe 5 a representative, councilman, a congressman that would say, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to take my salary," but the rest of them didn't say nothing about not taking their salary, which means there was no loss for them, right? But major loss for those that we're all working one paycheck away from the streets.
Many of us are. We really are. And when you say something like, "Yeah, we're going to shut the government down," that's big. That's like, okay, Mary and John, your week that you got your bills coming in for week after week payments. You use this month's or this week's bills to pay, or this week's money to pay these bills right here. Well, those aren't going to happen. And some of those include daycare. Okay, so we're going to put your daycare at risk, which means we're going to put your ability to go to a job at risk, which means we're going to put your ability to make money at risk, which means your family is going to have some serious issues because these folks in Congress have decided that there's way too much spending going on. Now, whether you think the spending is too much or not, and I don't even want to get into that, I just don't. But the very fact that you're going to take Bill's salary away from him because you have a disagreement with what the total bill is when Bill didn't have anything to do with that. Forgive me for saying, but that ain't cool. I mean, it just really is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's a little scary, and you just because you go out, you like work is supposed to be work, right? I'm gonna work. I'm gonna, this is gonna be my pathway, and I'm gonna give all, and I expect them to give me something back in return, and somehow or another is gotten thrown. So, because I never really worried of, when I worked in corporate America, the pension was part of your pension plan, your 401k, whatever it was part of that basic benefit, right? That they cared about your longevity and your commitment. But I don't know if that's still the case today.
Like I was saying before, it's always been what is the least I need to do to get the best employee. It's always been that. Every time you have a negotiation, and we can go into this as another subject, every time you have a negotiation with regard to your salary, that HR person's job is not to give you a fair wage. Their job is to pay you the least amount so they can get your talent. And if that means they got to throw in some stuff or they have to take some stuff off the table, they're going to do that whenever they have the upper hand of the lower hand. So when you're talking to folks about getting a job, it's always, always, always been a negotiation. And I can tell you right now that I have gotten jobs when I needed to go. I had to get that gig. I was working as a server. Money was going through my pocket like nobody's business. It was all cash, and I'm not sure how I was making rent. So I did that. And so when I got that steady paycheck, I just took whatever they put on in front of me. It was dramatically less than many of my counterparts. And the company, to their credit, saw that after a couple of years and raised my salary to a commensurate level, right? Unfortunately, that level, although it was wonderful for me, was horrible for my colleagues that actually were making that kind of money because they weren't being paid enough, they felt. Right? And so the company had to come out and say, if you haven't gotten a raise, you're not going to get one. Of course, I kept my mouth silent. So I think I don't want to ramble because I know folks have things to do, but I do want to make this point. Number one, the Roth versus the traditional 401k, it's an argument that's going to go on for a long time, but it really, really depends on your particular situation, and they are not mutually exclusive. Let's just get that out there. How do you take advantage of both of those? And I'll come back to that in a minute. The second thing is, as employees, you have agency, and you need to use that and realize that that you're an important part of the conversation when it comes to your employer giving you benefits, and they wouldn't give them if they didn't need to. That's just it. Many of the folks that I have that I work with now, are hiring employees as 1099s because they don't want to pay benefits. This is it. It's not that they're mean people. They don't want to pay benefits.
Mm.
There you go. So,
Yeah.
So that's it. And Crystal, be honest with you, between you, me, and the fence post, even though we're doing this broadcast, it's always been that way.
That's probably true.
We have allowed ourselves to get soft and to think, oh, I'm going to put in my thing. They're going to hook me up. I care for these folks. They care for me. As true as that may be, it's the wrong way to think.
Mm.
It just is. The right way to think is, all right, you're going to rent my time, and I get to decide for how much you get to rent my time for.
Right. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Almost have to do it like they do, like we do, those of us that are in our own consulting type of positions, right? Because that's why I became a coach and started my own business, because you kind of can dictate your value more as an independent than you can dictate your value as an employee.
Bingo.
It's just part of the game, right? So.
Bingo.
And to be working for the same company, I know for me, it's what happened. My value went up when I stepped outside of the employee role and stepped into the consultant role.
There you go.
Just same person,
Mm-hmm.
same knowledge, same intellect, but you're much more valuable on the outside than you are on the inside.
And they know that. They know that.
Right. Exactly.
They're not paying you. They can pay you more. They're not paying you the benefits. They're not paying you for your child care and your this and your that and your health care and da. Hell, they're saving $1,000 a month on you. Why not pay you some more?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. It's just interesting, but yeah. Good topic, right?
Indeed,
so, and as we know, these conversations are conversations we don't normally have. So it leaves nothing else. It just kind of ignites the opportunity for you to have these conversations with your family and what's the future look like? What's my retirement? Maybe I'm not gonna get it where I am, and I gotta look at moving to get what I need, because it has to come down to us, right? It has to come down to the employee's needs and what those needs look like when you're retired, where you don't have all of the opportunities that you have as a when you first started your career.
Well said. I could not have said it any better than that. Thank you very much. And with that, I think we should close out the show.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you what, Ms. Mitchell, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next time.
Yes.
On Conversations on the Patio.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Take care now. Bye.